Welcome back. We're still sticking with the issues surrounding the suspended Chief Justice of Nigeria and the whole anti-corruption war. Some senior legal practitioners at an event which held recently in Lagos also share their thoughts on these issues.
How do you sort out judicial corruption? It is not by sovereign vigilantism. This is my personal view. Sovereign vigilantism for me is what the president did. Was Justice Onagan a thief? If we prove it, send him to jail. But let's prove it. Because if you don't prove it, you will end up making him a martyr. If he's a thief, let us shame him with conviction. And the idea somehow that the National Judicial Council will not be able to deal with him because he's the chairman is an insult to all Nigerians who do public service with integrity.
Our current reality today is that public perception of lawyers and the justice system is at low levels. Nowhere is this perception more pronounced than in the discussion around the anti-corruption measures of the Buhari administration. It will seem that for most Nigerians, persons accused of corruption should not be afforded legal representation. This narrative needs to be reversed. But we need to respond to citizens' perception that lawyers are only interested in representing high-fee-paying persons accused of grand corruption. This perception gives the impression of a profession that is selfish, self-centered, and has lost touch with the concerns of Nigerians. It will be good to see senior advocates in their hundreds represent some of the more than 40,000 awaiting trial persons in our prisons, many who have spent upwards of 5 to 10 years awaiting trial, or poor individual communities who are frequent victims of official high-handedness. In conclusion, the conversation about the state of our justice system should be an ongoing one. If there is one positive development about the debates around the matter of the presidency and the judiciary, it is the priceless publicity that has been gifted to the justice sector. Hopefully, when all the dust is settled, we will not return to business as usual, but we will finally commence the long overdue task of undertaking far-reaching reforms in our justice system.
The allegations, even the ones that are said to have been admitted, and I have to say said to have been admitted, are grievous, egregious enough. So there's a moral aspect to that and the position of the Chief Justice. Then there's a political aspect because of the way that the charges, instead of being brought by the Code of Conduct Bureau, which has access to the forms that are filled by public officers, instead of the Code of Conduct Bureau bringing the charges, rather we had a private body, which is to say a private individual, it could be an organization or whatever, but it was not the official body which has custody of the forms. And we know that the Code of Conduct Bureau in the past has taken the position that it will resist any freedom of information applications in respect of declarations of assets unless the National Assembly specifically legislates on the matter. So how this private body got the Chief Justice's form raises a lot of questions, and that's why I say that there's the political aspect to it. Now, when both of those have failed, then we have to resort to the legal, and I do say that it may be slow, but it will eventually resolve the issue. The political and the moral are still there, and they can play their part to try and step back from the situation that we are in. But if they fail, the fact is that the genie is out of the bottle. Allegations of this nature against the Chief Justice of Nigeria cannot just be unlooked. They can't just be wished away. So one way or the other, but as I say, if the moral and the political don't work, then we have to rely on the legal, and that's what we're doing.
From there, we move to the courtrooms. It's been a very busy week for most of the judges. While some were busy attending various workshops and training sessions, some others sat to hear and deliberate on cases. We have a recap of some of the top trending stories from the courts.
We'll begin with the report that the Federal High Court sitting in Lagos has freed the former governor of Oyo State, Rasheed Ladoja, who was standing trial for alleged fraud to the tune of 4.7 billion naira. He was freed by the court on Friday, February 8. The trial judge, Justice Mohammed Idris, in his judgment, said the evidence brought against the former governor by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission was too low on credible evidence. He therefore discharged and acquitted the former governor and his co-defendant, Waheed Akombi, who was the Oyo State Commissioner for Finance during his administration. Still at the Federal High Court, another judge, Justice Mojisola Olatoregun, has ordered that the former Minister of State for Defense, Senator Musili Obanikoro, should appear in court at the next adjourned date of March 18, or he would be arrested. Senator Obanikoro, who is testifying as a fifth prosecution witness in the trial of the immediate past governor of Ekiti State, Ayo Fayose, was scheduled to continue his evidence on the cross-examination on Thursday, February 7th, but he failed to appear in court. The former governor, Ayo Fayose, is on trial for allegedly receiving and keeping 1.2 billion naira and $5 million allegedly stolen from the Office of the National Security Advisor, contrary to the Money Laundering Act. He had pleaded not guilty when he was arraigned on the 11-count charge in October 2018. Another judge of the Federal High Court has ordered the arrest of the former Director General of the National Intelligence Agency, Ambassador Ayodele Oke, and his wife, Folashade. Justice Chukwujeku Aneke issued the order following an oral application made and argued by the counsel to the EFCC, Mr. Rotimi Oyedepo. After considering the oral application, Justice Aneke said he was convinced beyond reasonable doubt that it's meritorious. He therefore ordered that Ambassador Oke and wife Folashade be arrested anywhere they are cited in the world. Still in Lagos, the trial of the president of the Nigerian Bar Association, Paul Usoro, is to commence afresh before Justice Chuks Obiozor of the Federal High Court. Mr. Usoro will be rearraigned before the judge on charges of laundering 1.4 billion naira on February the 14th. The Chief Judge of the court, Justice Adamu Abdul Kafarati, reassigned the case from the courtroom of Justice Muslim Hassan after he granted the request of the NBA president for a change of judge. The NPA president is being prosecuted by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission on a 10-count charge, a charge to which he has pleaded not guilty. And in Abuja, the FCT, the appeal court, has adjourned the hearing of an appeal filed by Justice Walter Onoge challenging his suspension till February the 12th, 2019. The court was adjourned on the request of his lawyer, who wanted the appeal heard together with two other appeals that he said were related to the trial at the CCT. Justice Onogen had appealed the ruling of the Code of Conduct Tribunal ordering his suspension. He pleaded that the chairman of the CCT and a member, Mrs. Julie Anabo, had erred in law and violated the Constitution when they ordered his suspension. He also claimed that they violated his right to a fair hearing by not giving him an opportunity to be heard. And finally, in Rivers State, the Supreme Court has issued a judgment upholding the nullification of the primaries of the All Progressives Congress in Rivers State. A five-man panel of the court, led by Justice Mohammed Dachijo, dismissed the suit and upheld the judgment of the Federal High Court. On January 7, 2019, a Federal High Court sitting in Port Harcourt, Rivers State, nullified the primaries conducted by the two factions of the All Progressives Congress in Rivers State. In the judgment, the court also restrains the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) from presenting Tonye Cole, Magnus Abe, and other candidates of the APC in the 2019 elections in the state.
And it's on that note we end today's edition of the program. Be sure to catch the repeats on air or watch via our YouTube channel. I'm Shola Shieli. Thank you for watching.